Hey everybody, it's Erin and we're going to do some fun storage containers. Now, I picked up these tins. I've already kind of started playing with one. I got these at Ikea and they're called Sucker. Don't you love it? All the supplies I'm going to be using are going to be down below, but just take a look and I'm already getting painty and having fun. The first step I'm doing is I'm just taking a little bit of gesso. And whatever gesso you want. This is kind of a thicker one, and I think I'm kind of liking where it's at so far with this one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in towards the top and just add a rough cut, just a rough something. I want to take away some of the harshness of the tin part. I love the sturdiness of the tin, but I want these to look soft and just kind of cool. And so all I'm doing is I'm just coming through. You could do white paint. I just thought the gesso would kind of stick to this a little bit better. So just come through. Gesso seems to do a really good job of covering things that are not normal. Paint tends to not always want to stick to things like metal very well. So again, just coming in and just a rough brush. Make sure you don't have a fingerprint in there. The middle is going to get covered up, so I'm not worried about that. I don't want fingerprints. I want it to look messy and rough and very just, it's the best way to describe it. And it's going to dry pretty quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in once it's kind of dried and continue to brush and get it to just look really rough. Pull up some of the pieces. I don't want it to look clean. I don't want it to look even. I want it to look messy. Just kind of whatever. I almost want to put my brush in there, but I'm not going to. I have a baby wipe here, and I'm just going to come in and just to kind of soften it. The brush did a good job, but I just want to soften and just give it that once over, top and bottom. Make it not look like I try to be perfect with it. Just really grunge it up. So I got some high and lows, that's what I want. Same thing here. Almost like it's a rustic can is what we're kind of going for. All right, so here we've got our two cans. Now, for one of the cans, we are actually going to add this fun layer, and it's going to go around like this. But the white on the white is a little too stark. So I'm just going to come in with a little bit of some pink, and I'm just going to plop it right on top. Now, I'm not going to do both cans because they're not going to be identical. I don't want them to be perfectly identical to each other. I want them to have a little bit of contrast. My paint's having the hardest time trying to get out. I'm going to use my paper towel because, oops, don't do that. I don't feel like getting a whole, and this is the only painty step that I'm doing. So I don't feel like breaking out a bunch of stuff. And I just want to add a hint of some pink. Just the top. Not too dramatic. Just to kind of, it's going to blend in with the white, and that's absolutely fine. Just make it look like it was almost pink gesso, not white gesso. Just come in here. Might need a tiny bit more, but I don't think so. Now, the other option I can do is I can take this, since this is on here, and I can come in here like that too. They look like my pinky version and my white version. I'm gonna clean a little bit of stuff now. All right, I'm just gonna put these down on the ground and let them dry up a bit. Now, what I have right here is I have my Creative Station light. Now, I've already measured this, so I know this is gonna fit. And basically what I'm gonna do is this is the first layer that gets stuck to the can. Then we have a second layer stuck to the can. Third layer stuck to the can. And guess what? They're all gonna go through my Creative Station. They're all gonna be using a sticky. I have the permanent adhesive, and this is the Creative Station light. And I love this, especially when I'm trying to do really long stuff. I could use glue. I just really don't want to mess with it right now. And this just makes my life super simple. So all three layers are going to go through here and then just wind it through. And that's for one can. Now, since I already know how long I need to make it, my second layer, I already have all my pieces out. But I don't have enough left of the white to make white the base. So my white is going to be the skinny version that I have right there. So I'm going to make sure I don't pull this apart. This is going to go in as delicately as it can. That's one layer. This is my second layer, and I need to measure it against what I already have, which I know is long enough. So here's my second layer. Cut off right about here. Super hard so far, right? Now, it's a little too wide. I need to narrow it up a bit. So I'm just gonna rough cut, because all that's gonna go on top of that is that white skinny layer that I've just created. So I'm just running down my pair of scissors. And to make it look like it's not so blunt, I'm just gonna pull out 2 strands. I'm gonna add it to my don't want any more pile. Put this in here. There we go. And the last thing that needs to go in is this guy. Now this one is going to be the bottom layer. And I've had this stuff forever and I really love the pink and I just never knew what to do with it. And I've got like about 6 or 7 colors and I keep pulling it back. It's not metal, it's actually a plastic and it's really, really flexible. It's super light and it can be cut. So the length is fine. I think that length is absolutely fine. I just need the right thickness. So I'm going to go to about here, which means I still have some left. After all that, I still have some left. So I'm going to cut this to here and then just cut this all the way down. See how easy this is? Because it's plastic and it's a really thin plastic that's between. It's this diamond mesh stuff. It works really well. So there's that. And then this piece goes in here. Ta-da! So now all I need to do is layer. Before I lay it on my tin, I'm actually going to layer it on here. So I'm going to take the first piece, which is the burlap, pull it off, and stick it to here. And I know it might be a little longer, and I'm fine with that. Stick that down. Second layer is this meshy stuff here. Pull it up. And it's going to go down. I'm going to do the same thing to here. I'm just going to go ahead and layer. It's going to be the burlap and then this piece right here. I'm going to run my hand, and I've not waited any extra time. I've just gone straight. There's a little bit left of the pink, but not much. That's it. That was all that was left. Tiny little bit of the pink. And it's hardly at all. So the one with the white background is going to go on the pink can. Find my back seam, and that's what I'm going to run this from the beginning and wind it around. And I'm a little short, and that's okay, because you know what? It's the back of the can, and I'm not worried about it. And there it is. Now from here, I can come in and tweak it some. Pull it down where I want, realign it where I need it to. It's supposed to look messy. Pull out some extra strands, make it look more rough. This guy right here, I really want to get rid of this one. Make sure it's sticking down. And there it is. This is what the front side. I don't want it to be even. I think I need to pull it down just a tiny bit more. It's still not 100% stuck, so I got room to groove. It's sticking pretty good, but I got some wiggle room before it's permanent. There's the first one. All right, so I'm going to come in with this gemmy one. Got all that good adhesive on there. And before everything sticks, I'm just going to throw away my back paper. Come in here, find my back, and then lay this piece down. And it might be a little short, and there's not much I can do about the shortness of it, but again, it's the back, and I'm not worried about it. I didn't lay that super great. Take the time to try and fix it now. All right, so there we go. Some pretty just shabby, fun, pretty, grungy, whatever you want to call it, using up some fun things. Now we are going to add our layer to the front. So I have some little circles, and they're in that kind of canvasy, and they're going to kind of be what I would call the center, but we're going to let them hang. All right, I'm going to label these because I'm going to have one that's going to be like tools, and then I have one that's going to be for pens. So I just have some monogram letters, and these are technically iron-on, and they would iron on this, but I'm lazy. I don't feel like getting my iron out, so we are going to just stick them on here. So we're going to do the word pens. So I'm just going to pull them out and lay them on here. All right, so I've pulled out pen and tool. I really wanted to do pens and tools. I don't think tools is going to fit across there, so I'm just not going to try and push that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and push my little guys in here and basically just turn them into stickers. I could iron them on, but like I said, I'm lazy and I already had this tool out and it just makes my life simpler. So let's go simple. And there they are, all on there. And now all I am going to do is go ahead and attach the letters to my burlap. All right, so there we go, pen and tool. And they don't need to be perfect, that's the other fun thing. Okay, the next thing I have is I have a little, it's a plastic needle, a giant needle, and I needed that in order to go through this. So I'm just gonna puncture through here, just enough, because there's no other way that I would get this through here, because instead of just making life easier for myself, go ahead and pull off a bunch, because we're gonna wind this around. It's good enough for that. Do the same thing for the next one. And then we are going to wrap this around. So when I wrap this, I'm going to kind of go uneven with it. I wrap it kind of like a present and just go all over it. Adds another layer of something on here. Let's come in, add some good dimension. And then wherever it kind of ends, hopefully towards the back, because again, it's just the back. And it gets seen, it gets seen. And then tie a good knot. Just add some more layers of some fun dimension. It doesn't have to be super tight. And now I've got my little tool, just like that. And I can kind of layer, again, you can see I can kind of come through. I don't want my string to hide in here. Kind of go over top. Oops, there we go. Get all that fun layered look going on. You can kind of play with it a bit. It's something extra to show that's on here. And it's in the front. And then I'm just gonna snip off the extra couple and then do the same thing for this side. So I pulled out a couple of batches of flowers. I pulled some little baby flowers, I had some leaves, and then this flower set. And some of them are from Prima, Petaloo. I'm just kind of playing around with it. And on this one, I've already assembled it and just adds a fun little cluster kind of up to the front. Just adds to the shabbiness of the whole thing. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. And one of the things I first did is I kind of raised up the beginning of this. And then it doesn't look like there's this huge gap up here. And I did it purposely. I put the words down so that way they wouldn't get in the way of all the flowers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run my my leaves, and I'm going to just make them sticky. The other ones I do need to use a glue, a wet glue, otherwise they're going to fall off because they're a little too bulky. But the leaves are perfect for this. So first step is, because this is more of a pink base, this was more of a white base, I went with a pink flower. This is more of a pink base. I'm gonna go with this flower. And then I have some other flowers here too, which are these ones stuck in here. First step, just take a little bit of wet adhesive and then layer your first flower in, kind of in the top corner. Over top, on the top, kind of like left-hand corner of your tools. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go on the right-hand side. Go opposite here. Change it up a bit because this is on the right side. Let's go with the left side. So when they sit next to each other, they look nice together because they're going to sit next to each other on my desk. And then I'm going to take two of these, and these guys are on a stem, and I'm going to cut them off. And I don't like using my regular scissors for this. I have a pair of like plier scissors that will cut through this like butter. Go ahead and trim those off. Add some adhesive to the back of these, and then just angle them in. The flowers don't need to look perfect. All right, this is where this part comes in. I'm done with those. I just got a couple little babies I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna come in with my big leaves and kind of find holes. Now they're nice and sticky. They're gonna come in wonderfully. So I'm gonna have, actually I want one down here, and I might need to add a little more adhesive to this flower. Okay, let's get a little undone. Okay, I'm gonna add a little leaf up here. Looks like it's coming from that flower. I'm trying to remember what the heck I did. I have one coming from over here. It's kind of filling it in. And then I have another big one, out of the way, coming in from over here. There, just kind of finishes it out. Now, I've got a couple little buds that I'm going to snip. Little tiny rosettes. I'm keeping a tiny bit of the stem on these guys. There we go. And I'm going to have one come in right in here. Now these ones I do need to use the wet glue as well because they're a little too dimensional. I want them a bit too matchy-matchy, but I want them to look similar. There we go. We have our tools and we have our pens. And that took me 30 minutes from start to finish. The Creative Station light made it super fast. I was adding a whitewash, pulling out some stuff, a little bit of some flowers on there, and boom, I have 2 new containers that are labeled. And the reason why I labeled them is because if I don't, I'm going to end up throwing whatever into them and they're going to turn into a big giant mess. So let me put some tools in here and I'll show you what they look like. So here we go. It actually fits a whole lot more than you actually give them credit for. In here, I have a whole bunch of different types of pens. I mean, I've got some Copics, I've got some Tombos, I've got some Sakuras, you know, a little bit of everything. Here's another twin tone from Tombow. I mean, it's a mix of a whole bunch of different pens and Sharpies. They're at a quick grab for me whenever I need them, so that's kind of handy. In here are just various tools. I've got scissors, I've got, you know, palette brushes, I've got foam brushes, I've got palette knives, I've got my quick sticky tool, I've got some water brushes, some small brushes, like an X-Acto knife. So it's just really easy for me to throw in my tools, whatever I need. And now they're in a pretty little container. So I'll get some pictures of these up close. Remember, all supplies are listed below, not what's inside, because that's just going to be way too much. But what I use to actually make the containers is going to be listed down below. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.